YouTube? Welcome back to another video on the Unguardable. This is a late episode, man. I apologize for this late episode. It's been a busy week as far as myself and Cam Killer Cam. He's been busy. We've been having a lot of stuff planned. We went out Friday night, and it's just been a busy week for us. So I'm getting this video knocked out for you guys because hey, we got to keep it going. Hopefully later on today, Cam Killer Cam and I can knock out this basketball podcast. Today I'm recording this Monday, November 18th. So this is kind of a week late, but we got to get to it. NFL Week 10, you guys. This was a crazy week. This past weekend was a crazy week for football. I can't wait to talk about that. But last week was a crazy week for NFL. So as y'all see on the screen, we have all the scores posted up as usual. AR was announced back to starting. That was a crazy way of me just saying that. AR was just announced that he is back starting. There we go. He's back starting at QB, and so I'm happy to see and excited to see what he looked like this past weekend. And I'm not gonna lie, looked pretty good, y'all. We'll get to it. And then the Chicago Bears fired their offensive coordinator, who was just having Caleb Williams dying out there, had no play, had no options for him. It just looked horrible. So he had to get out of there. He had to get the boot. And I believe they fired some other people in there as well. So we'll see how Caleb Williams will look this upcoming week, which he looked pretty decent. But let's get into the scores. As y'all see, the San Francisco 49ers was able to get that win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jake Moody, y'all, missed 3 field goals that game. Oh my God, it made me sick. But he ended up coming clutch and ended up hitting the game-winning field goal when it was needed and secured that dub on Tampa Bay, which we very desperately needed that W because our playoff hopes are still alive with that win. But shout out to Jake Moody. There was a little bit of a scruffle towards the end of the game between Debo and our long snapper because Moody wasn't making those field goals and Debo's getting on him. And I'm 100% with, I get it, you want to hold your teammates accountable for their mistakes, but let the coach do it. And on top of that, if you want to, get on your team, I get it. You want to win. You want to, do all that extra as far as boost him up. In my opinion, I think you should boost him up, not bring him down, not tell him he's trash and all this stuff. Because, when he was telling him that was like the middle of the third quarter, fourth quarter around there, And so it's like, you can't be doing those type of things when you need a guy in the game to make field goals, but thankfully he ended up making the game winner. Like, you can't be trying to discourage guys, and like I said, just let the coach do his job and talk to him and see what's going on with him and give him words of encouragement, because like I said, we're going to need him throughout the game, and you can't just bash your kicker like that. And last but not least, you can't put your hands on your teammate, man. Like, I don't care what the circumstances is, bro. Like, I get it. My boy was trying to stick up for Moody, but Debo can't put his hands on him and try to choke him out and do all that extra stuff. Like, you can't, man. Like, it just looks bad. And sometimes that translates onto the field. It ends up translating this week, but we'll talk about that. The Baltimore Ravens ended up pulling it out over the Cincinnati Bengals, which that was a really, really good game. It came down to the Bengals scoring on the last drive. Fucking Jamar Chase cooks the Ravens every time he plays them. I think Jamar Chase that we ended up having over like 50 fantasy points because he ended up fucking going off, bro. He ended up going off. It was ridiculous. And Lamar Jackson ended up going crazy as well. He played a hell of a game. I believe he ended up throwing like 4 touchdowns around there. Fucking Joe Burrow. It was a really good game. But it all came down to the Bengals scoring on the last drive, and they had an opportunity to either kick the field goal to tie the game or to do a 2-point conversion, and you could win the game and not go to overtime, because pretty much it was like, I think it was literally the last play of the game. Excuse me. I think it was the last play of the game. I don't think there was time left. And so the Bengals elected to go for 2. go for the win. They said, nope, we're not going to OT. We're not going to waste our time doing that. We're going to go for the win right here. And they went for the win, and they lost. They ended up not doing it. In my opinion, I think they should have gone for the field goal. A lot of other people have opinions of them. They should have went for 2 and gone for the game. My opinion, I know the Baltimore Ravens that day were clicking. They were looking good. But in my opinion, you're not playing Patrick Mahomes. Like, come on, man. Like, I'll be real, man. Patrick Mahomes is probably like one of the only quarterbacks in the world where if you don't want to go to overtime with, if you don't have to, like especially if they get the ball, it's gonna be he's known for closing out those games, making the right plays, making his players making the right moves what they need to. So I'm not saying that you wouldn't be able to get a stop. It's easy to get a stop on Lamar and the Ravens, but I feel like you have an easier chance of doing that and going in overtime versus trying to win the game with a 2-point. And as you see, they just costed them the games because they believed that they were playing Patrick Mahomes 2.0 with Lamar over there on the sideline, I guess. And they didn't believe their defense could hold up. But, hey, costed them a game is what it is. The Bills ended up pulling it out over the Colts. Panthers looking pretty good. They ended up pulling out a win over the Giants. I believe that was the Germany game, if I'm not mistaken, last week. I was up watching that game. It was pretty good. But all those overseas games, sometimes the field isn't necessarily up to par and standards. It can be a pretty shitty game. But as far as the environment-wise, because I watch a lot of WWE, you guys. Me and my girlfriend, we've been watching a lot of WWE, been keeping up with it since like WrestleMania of last year. And so one thing that I noticed and I realized why WWE does a lot of their pay-per-view or aka PLE events out throughout the world, like they hold a lot of regular shows like SmackDown and Raw, like those regular shows out here in the States, y'all. But for their like main events, they mostly go out to different places throughout the world. And the reason why I bring that up is because that game being in Germany, but the crowd was like lit, y'all. Like it was 6:30 in the morning out here in the States, and I'm usually up in the morning like anyways because my daughter. But like those games just be live because those fans out there just love, like, not necessarily love America, but they just love the sport. They love whatever what we bring to them, and they were just showing so much love out there in Germany. So I'm looking forward to seeing how those other games are out there as far as next year, as far as the football games. And like I said, in WWE events, it's even better because they sing every WWE superstar song. They show love all the time. The crowd's never quiet. They're always hype. And it's like, I wish the American culture was like that. It's weird how, if you guys ever gone to like a game or a stadium and it's like you start cheering and yelling, or even maybe not a concert, but like, I don't know, certain like events, sporting events, sometimes like people just look at you like weird. It's like, why are you yelling? Why are you screaming and stuff, But like over there overseas, like that's all it is, yelling, screaming, because that's what sport is. It's like prideful. It's like hoorah, like back at the gladiator days, back in the day when they used to do things like that, and everybody in the crowd, as they predicted in the movies and stuff, as they are depicted in the movies, like how crowds are and stuff like that. That's how sports should be, it should be like the gladiators, making you whoa, let's go, but still, having that love and respect for each other. But still, y'all all cheering or going against each other, you don't have to get to the point of fighting and disrespectfulness. But anyways, I'm just chatting a lot, but that Panthers and Giants game, it was actually pretty cool. And then, if I'm not mistaken, the referee ended up speaking German that game, and so it had the crowd like all shook and made them even cheer even louder because they spoke their native language. So that was a good game. Cardinals ended up beating the Jets. Jets have not been looking good. I don't know what's been going on with them. The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Washington Commanders. That was a really good game. Came down to, if I'm not mistaken, fucking Russell Wilson dropping back, throwing that game-winning touchdown to Mike Williams. And, oh, man, that was a good game. Like, I'm not going to lie. That was a really good game. Jaden Daniels didn't play the best, but that Pittsburgh defense is nasty, bro. Like, I'm not even going to lie. I didn't think Pittsburgh was that tough, but Pittsburgh's been looking really, really good. Kansas City remains undefeated, as you see at the top right-hand corner, versus the Denver Broncos. fucking Bo Nix was balling out, man. He was balling out. They were playing a really good game. It all came down to a game-winning field goal from the Denver Broncos, and it got blocked. Crazy. What crazy luck that the Chiefs have for them to get a blocked field goal to keep their win streak alive. It was ridiculous. I was watching out on NFL Red Zone, and I'm like, did they really just block that? And I ended up seeing some film after the game about, like, I guess they had this O lineman on the special teams, and you like constantly saw him like getting ran over on like different special team plays, and some people are predicting that the Kansas City Chiefs saw that lineman was that weak and they targeted him, and they saw if he was out there on that field goal kick, they were going to target him. And I guess like there was like 2 or 3 players on the left side where that weak lineman was, and you can see from the replay of them blocking the field goal, like the lineman, like he looked nervous, like he looked like he didn't even, like he was in a weird position. He looked not even ready, like he looked scared. And as soon as they hiked the ball, you just see him just collapse. And you know, it takes a minute for the ball to get from the long snapper to the holder holding it, and then to the kicker kicking it. That's at least like a good like 3 to 5 seconds between that, you know. And that lineman immediately went down, and they got right over the top of that kicker and bow, bunted that thing down. And it was a great IQ play for the Chiefs to realize what they had out there as far as their opposition, what type of personnel there was, and realize, hey, this dude's a weak link. We gotta take advantage of it, and they did, and they blocked the field goal. It was just fucking. Just good football, but also fucking luck, bro, because what the fuck. The New Orleans Saints ended up beating the Falcons 20-17. That was a shocker. The Saints previously lost the last 9 games, I believe it was. If I'm not mistaken, it could be 9 or 7. I can't remember the stat. But they lost a lot because they started the season 2-0, and then they lost all the games since then until they just beat the Saints. So yeah, they're 3-7. So yeah, they lost the last 7 straight. So that was a big shocker for me. I expected the Falcons to win, and they just ended up didn't. The Miami Dolphins ended up pulling that one out over the Los Angeles Rams. They didn't look too bad. I think Tyreek Hill caught like 1 tutty that game, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Detroit Lions ended up pulling it out over the Houston Texans. Chargers pulled it out over the Titans, and Minnesota beat the Jaguars. I think that was another game where I don't know if they scored a touch. Yeah, I think they did score 12 points. You got to score a touchdown. I think they ended up scoring like 1 touchdown. 2 of the middle games that stood out to me was the New England Patriots putting foot to ass to the Chicago Bears. That was very, very unexpected. 19-3, the Chicago Bears were struggling. They couldn't score at all. They couldn't get down the field. And like I'm saying, bruh, that just leads to our point of this dude getting fired right here, because like, come on, bruh, like if you can't get down the field against the New England Patriots, bro, like what are we doing? So they had to get him the boot because that was a bad game. And then the Philadelphia Eagles put foot to ass on the Dallas Cowboys in their home stadium, because the players can't see. I don't know why Jerry Jones just doesn't believe that the players can't see, but the players just straight up can't see in that mug. And literally as day there's a clip of CD just going across the field, and he's like, I can't see, bro. Like I can't catch the ball. I can't see. And it's just funny to see that, because he obviously, Jerry Jones doesn't care to acknowledge what his players and a lot of media are talking about, and he just does his own thing. So they're chopped. But past week I was able to get the dub in my 12-man league, aka my money man league, in the top left-hand corner. Shout out to Russell Wilson, who had a pretty good day. Bijan and Kamara did their thing. AJ Brown had a decent day, same as Jawan. K didn't do too much, but I ended up picking Goddard because I needed somebody at the flex. and he ended up doing pretty good. I ended up playing the last place seed, so I really wasn't stressing about that one. And then on the right hand side, I was kind of stressing because I was playing my boy Cade, and he had Lamar Jackson, who had a really good game. Like I was telling you guys, he ended up having, like I said, 4 touchdowns. But Jalen Hurts ended up having 4 of them things as well. I think he had like 2 or maybe 2 rushing touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. And then on that team, I had Bijan as well, Achane, AJ Brown. I had Nico Collins, who said that he was activated, but he ended up not playing. But so I had to just pick up somebody for him because I risked it, and I was like, if Nico plays, I'm starting him. You feel me, y'all? And if he doesn't play, then it is what it is. So I just picked up Robert Woods because he didn't end up playing, and I really wasn't tripping because everybody else played pretty decent. Shout out to the Philly defense because I knew they were playing the Dallas, and so I picked them up on waivers, and they ended up getting 20 points from me. So helped me get that dub versus my boy Cade this past week. Isaiah Pacheco was supposed to return, but he ended up getting activated off the IR, if I'm not mistaken. But he didn't end up returning this past week. So he was supposed to return, but he didn't end up returning this past week. I'm referring to week 11. But he didn't return week 10 as well, as y'all see. But he is slated to return. But this ended up coming out after the week 10 stuff anyways. But to continue on about the Chicago Bears, this past week when they didn't score, as y'all see, they only had 6 points, 2 field goals, 23 straight possessions without a touchdown. It's rough, man. It's rough going. So that's why they had to get that OC out of there, bro. Because it's just what's going on. And to continue on with the fantasy football, relatively, who's been red hot for me, and thankfully I have him on my team, Bijan Robinson. In past few games, he's had 444 total yards. 144 total yards, 2 touchdowns. Jamar Chase has been on red hot, especially against the Ravens. He finished with 264, 11 receptions, 3 tutties in the last few games he's played. The same with Travis Kelce. And then who's been cold, to the surprise, Devontae Adams and the Jets, they haven't been doing too well. Jared Goff, he's thrown 5 interceptions and only has a 50% completion percentage from this past game. And Sam Darnold and the Vikings are starting to slow down a little bit. He's been throwing 3 interceptions and hasn't been that much of a fantasy relative QB like that. But that's all I have for you guys this week for the NFL. I'm going to get this uploaded for you guys because it is kind of late. And then I'm going to have this NBA episode out for you guys hopefully today or tomorrow if Cam Killer Cam wants to record it. So appreciate y'all. See y'all on the next one.